Hello and welcome to Game and Chat, the podcast where we invite members of the gaming community to join us to play some of their favourite multiplayer games and to tell us why they enjoy them so much, and also to invite game developers to talk to us about games they have worked on. So joining me today are two members of Galla Games or Galla Games, and it is Paulo and Pavel. Or Pavel, sorry. So thank you very much for joining me, guys.
Oh no, yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming along. So the game we are going to be talking about today that you have worked on is Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
and let's
can
say, no, sorry.
sorry, no, after you. Sorry.
Oh no, yeah, it's been a long project. This is our first video game that we have developed for consoles. Second in total. We hadn't made a mobile game before, but no, yeah, it's really exciting to be finally this close to release after such a long development time.
I can only imagine because I mean it's one thing developing for mobile games, it's another thing to develop for like consoles and PC. Obviously, there's a lot of like different tools and techniques that you have to use as well for developing games, as well as like different engines. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourselves and your role with Gaia Games?
Of course. I, Paulo Lara, I'm the artist of the team and also mostly the writer, at least storytelling wise. And I take care about those visual elements, animation, storytelling for the most part, like I just mentioned. But I also like to think that there's some flexibility, and sometimes I find myself requesting help to Pavel to help me translate things into the game engine and things like that. But yeah, you could say that my role is mainly artistic since I cannot code for my life.
I guess I guess to complete the other side, I'm Pavel, the computer programmer and mostly the game designer. So I guess to get it out of the way first, no, I cannot draw to save my life even.
Yeah.
So thankfully we have each other for that. But no, I mostly take care of coding the game and just making sure everything works. And I also take care of most of the puzzle designs as well as like gameplay elements, more balancing, and so on and so forth.
The technical aspects.
Okay. So I was going to ask, in what capacity are you involved with the game? But you've basically answered that for me. So basically, the artist and the lead developer, the one that does all the coding, and brilliant stuff. So how did Gaia Games first come about?
Oh, well, that is actually a nice segue since the reason why we decided to start Gala Games as a studio is because we had the luck of having this opportunity. Me being an illustrator with a heavy inclination to video game art, and at the beginning stages of the studio, Pavel developing a strong affinity for programming, especially focused on video games. It seemed like a great opportunity to to just not disregard. We took our chances, and we decided to take advantage of that opportunity in a sense, which yeah, both of us being huge video game nerds, pretty much everything flew uh, very organically, considering that we also share the same tastes for video games in general.
It does help. It does help a lot. I mean, I run my Nintendo 64 with my brother Jack, and obviously, we're both video gamers as well. Not to the capacity that we could code or design games to save our lives. We never ever made it to that step. So we're very envious of you both that you are able to, be able to create games. It's a passion and a dream for many gamers to be able to do that, but you've actually gone and done it. So congratulations to you both.
Thank you,
So
really appreciate
when
it.
you're very welcome. So when did the development for Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo begin, and where did the inspiration behind the game come from?
Oh, I would say that that was also a fairly organic process, since our very first project was a mobile game called Kulebra as well, but with a C instead of a K. Um, and then from there, we had the idea of starting with a small scope, in which we would just have this mobile game with a nice story and a very simple gameplay. Um, that was back in 2015. The project wasn't that successful, monetarily speaking, but it opened up a lot of paths for us to continue development and to move forward into the game development industry, um, including our next, let's say, revival of Culibra, for a lack of a better term, in which many years later, let's say around 5 years, we decided to resuscitate the IP and reuse it for something that we felt more familiar and comfortable working for, as a video game or project. And that would be the starting steps for Culebra and the Souls of Limbo, which is salvaging something that we really cherished, our first project, and pushing it to be something more complex, and that we felt more familiar, or that it was close to our hearts.
To add on to that, the reason why the character is a snake and how it came about the whole thing of going to the land of the dead and helping souls in the afterlife, it came from a limitation of our first game that it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be endless runner where you will zigzag through obstacles, and we figured that a snake will be the best fitting character. But I couldn't make like a continuous tale, like a seamless tale, so we had to divide it into sections. That's where the skeleton design came from, and like the whole story, it came from the fact that our main character was basically a undead snake.
Yeah, originally the first game, and the whole and that whole lore comes from that mechanic software limitation.
I mean, it's not too far away from like how Rayman was created.
Yes, that's a
Obviously,
very
like
good example.
Rayman, they had the hands and you got the head and the legs, but nothing was connected to the body, and mainly because of like limitations and things. So, yeah, I can totally understand. I mean, if I was ever to create a game and then like trying to figure out how to make things work, you got to work with what works with you, and then make
Exactly.
that work. Yes. So, yeah, I totally get on board with that. So can you give us a brief overview of Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo? What kind of game is it? What is it about?
Well, Culebra is basically a 3D adventure game in which you do detective work to help the souls of Limbo. These souls are trapped in a loop that force them to repeat the same day over and over. And as Culebra, you will gather clues that would help you break the loop and patterns that these souls are trapped in order to help them escape from Limbo.
Yeah, it's mostly about the game is about like gathering items and exploring. So we mentioned like it was like a detective game. You will get clues by talking with the characters and like finding certain details, and then you connect the dots to figure out how to proceed. And as you solve the issues of these souls that are trapped in limbo, not only you make progress, but slowly you help them uh, come to terms with the issues that they have, because the reason these souls are trapped in limbo is because they have some unfinished business or regrets from the time they were alive, and they are basically stuck repeating and reliving that moment. And the objective is to help them face those fears, and once they actually manage to overcome them, they'll be able to finally rest.
Yes, it's a very emotional experience, and it is full of very visceral puzzles that, in contrary to the typical adventure game, they do not rely so much on context sensitive puzzles, but they are very physical or intuitive in many ways.
Right. And what was the process on character and level design?
Huh. Let's see.
Yeah, for character and character design, Paulo can help more on that regard than
Oh
I.
yeah, go
But
ahead. Go ahead.
if I jump to the level design, we have actually a process where Paulo is a lot better at creating like scenarios and
Yes.
and environments. Like Paulo creates the story. I'm usually better at like moving pieces and putting them together in such a way that we have like a gameplay or a game or a flow, so to speak. So how that translates is that Paulo creates the environment and the characters, and then it's up to me to figure out how we can arrange those scenarios in a way to create a gameplay loop.
Yes.
So it's more like Paulo starts with a base with the pieces, and I try to rearrange them into a certain way, and then I show it to him for feedback,
Yeah.
and we go back and forth.
Yeah, in a way, it's like a tennis match. There's a lot of back and forth in which I pitch something. Comes, whoops,
Sorry
something.
about that.
Oh, don't worry, it's just something fell off. Um, there's a lot of back and forth in which I pitched an idea, and then he comes back with adjustments, including gameplay elements, and then I put my thoughts too, and so on. It just keeps going back and forth, until we have something cohesive that makes sense within the either gameplay limitations or story that we want to achieve.
Okay. Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo is quite a profound game with a deep message about empathy and listening to others. Could you tell us a bit more as to why you guys wanted to express this type of positive behavior in the game?
Oh yes, actually, the main reason what I would see this as work, my let's say my main work and something that I'm proud of is that
Hmm.
I pretty much grew up with video games that in many ways shaped a sense of both empathy, proactivity, and a sense of helping others. Um, One of my main inspirations being The Legend of Zelda Majora's Masks, but we can go into more details about that one later. Um,
Yeah.
but I see that when I was a kid, this type of games really shaped in a positive way my personality and the way that I can or contributed to my personality and the way I would see things, and I wanted to share that uh, positive effect throughout video games as well. I
Good
think
answer.
that oh yeah, I think that video games offer something that a lot of mediums do not tap in quite well because in many ways sometimes not always most of the mature elements and stories about this type are referred to a more mature audience, but I think that kids being exposed to this type of subjects while enjoying a particular media, something along those lines, is when they get exposed into the best way into deeply understanding something and having a positive message out of it.
I mean, one of the beauties of video games is because it is what they refer to as active media, is
Mhm.
the player is, actively engaging with what is happening on the screen and, is developing a connection with these characters. So, like, when the characters develop, the player, in a way, also develops and becomes more engaged and more invested in
Exactly.
the well-being of these characters. So like when you have like dealing with issues of grief and regret and stuff like that, and it can parallel what somebody else themselves are actually going through, and it
Yes.
can also help as a process of how to get through that as well. So yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you can watch films that can be very, very gripping, or movies, and they can be very, very gripping. But sometimes I feel like games just have a way that they can fully encapsulate the player to make them feel, fully involved with what's happening in the game.
That is very true. Yes.
So, one thing that indie developers, or all developers, not just developers, but all developers face when creating games is working with tight budgets. So,
Mhm.
did you receive funding for Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo, and how did you manage to stretch those funds to last through game development?
Yes. Actually, funny enough, we started with being as conservative with our budget from the very start. So a lot of the artistic decisions of the game and gameplay decisions too come from sticking to a realistic budget in many ways. For example, things like very snappy animation, in which pretty much all the animations of the characters would be around just 2 frames or 2 images for all their expressions. Um,
Yeah.
and 3D models being heavily simplified under the artistic choice of being paper folds, which allow you to have very little polygons, and at least artistic in that artistic sense that was thought from the very beginning, and some other choices gameplay wise. For example, the physics of the game are very modest in the sense that there are not like crazy collisions, and the environment is very controlled to avoid bugs and time testing the game and that type of things.
Yeah.
With that, we also received later on, after the whole project was conceptualized, we received the help of Fellow Traveler as our publisher and a Kickstarter. That's the budget we had. And although they really helped a lot and allows us to work on the game and do most of the heavy lifting in that sense, it didn't mean that we wouldn't have to be conservative about our budget. So we still had a very modest approach to spending and development.
And obviously, with the game coming out, and obviously it will be coming to Nintendo Switch as well. How will you continue to support Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo after its release? Are there any post-launch updates or events to keep players coming back for more?
Oh yes, um, something that
Besides,
it's
so yeah, besides the obvious thing that we're gonna be paying attention to any reports when it comes to bugs or anything that
yeah.
we're gonna be fixing it.
Yes, but there's also we have plans for certain things to come for the game later, um, including DLC and that type of things. That I'm being very conservative about because I don't want to ruin the surprise too much. But we have
Oh
things
no,
working for the.
absolutely. I totally get that. As long as there is something coming,
Yes,
we
yes,
don't have to say exactly what yet.
but there are things. There are more things coming for the game. Yes.
Always good to hear. Always good to hear. Have you had a chance to present your game at any conventions or video game festivals and things? And if you have, what was the fan feedback on it?
We overall have had a very reception with the fans,
Hmm.
and they have been really moved by the story of the game and what it involves. Um, so yeah, overall it has been very positive. And as for events, the one that I can, oh well, there have been a few. We won the game world.
You're talking about the game
Game
development
World
world
Championship.
championship.
Yeah, we won that one a few years ago.
Oh
Um,
wow!
oh yeah, that was a very nice surprise. We even went to Finland trip about that convention. It was pretty cool. It was very great. We were also finalists in Pitch a Game, third place, and also finalists for the Latin American Fest show, in which we were finalists for Best Art as well. Those are the ones I can recall.
Yeah, well, and when it comes to like conventions where we showed off the game, like on stage, we did show it at a convention. This was many years ago. This was even before we actually partnered with Fellow Traveler. This was when we have a demo. This was. Do you remember? It was a power up event. It was a local.
Oh yeah, local power up event. It was more like an expo, and there
Okay.
we met some pretty cool developers and things, like the guys working on Shrine's Legacy. Very cool people. They're great. It was a nice thing to meet them there. We made a pretty good friendship.
Yeah, people when play the game, they like the aesthetic, but since it's like a slower burn game where you have like to sit and actually like play through the whole chapter,
Yeah,
it doesn't translate too well for like a show where you have
for
to
an event, you'd say.
for an
Yeah,
event, yeah, because 5 minutes or 15 minutes is not a long time to
yeah,
actually.
for a public event, because the demo usually takes around an hour for to be fully experienced or properly experienced.
Yeah, no, I can totally get that. I mean, it does depend greatly on the game. I mean, if you have like a fast-paced action game or a roguelite or something where people get straight into the action, well, then in that
Exactly.
5 minutes they see a lot. But when you have a game that's very, very story-driven and requires people to sit and take a step back and think, because obviously, it has puzzle elements, that 5 minutes disappears in an instant. It's like, okay, I haven't done anything.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's two sides of the same coin. It's it's finding the balance. But no, I totally understand. I mean, if like bigger events and things where you've got time where people can come along, sit down and play the game for 20 minutes or half an hour, and then really get invested in the game, they
Yes.
can really see what it is all about. If you had to compare the game to any other in existence, in terms of gameplay, overall theme, or story, what would you say is its closest match?
I would say the closest match, but it would be The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. I
Good
think
choice.
that, oh, it's actually my favorite game and my main inspiration. Um, yes, pretty much. And the game, especially focused on the side quests, the game takes a lot of inspiration from the game and shares a lot of common ground in that sense. I would say that's the closest one. But there's a little bit of a combination thing going on with the game in which it takes inspiration from other games that are perhaps a bit more passive, because there's an action side to The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask that Kulebra, in a sense, does not touch as deeply as Zelda, since the main goal of the game is very to get to know the characters, that type of thing.
Hmm. Well, I suppose it's not too dissimilar from Spiritfarer. Have you played
There,
Spiritfarer?
I have not played it, but I've seen some gameplay, and there's definitely a lot of similarities to it. Yes.
Mm. I mean, in the terms of not necessarily gameplay, but the terms of dealing with colourful
Grief.
characters and grief, and
Yes.
getting them to get past their grief and helping them to move on. So I can see a lot of parallels in that sense.
You are correct, yes. There are also a lot of similarities, which is also the core of the game, but with point and click adventure games, in which
Yep.
Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo takes that type of format and turns it into a 3D environment which you can explore. But in a sense, the basis of the game, it's pretty much a point and click in many ways, an adventure experience. Other games that may ring a bell would be um, Ace Attorney, or Ace Attorney.
It's trendy. I think it's
Attorney.
pronounced.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
I always forget how to pronounce it. But there are a lot of parallels between the detective work of Ace Attorney and Kulebra, especially on the way each chapter pays off in the end, in which you have a confrontation that puts to the test all the information you have gathered through the chapters. And
Objection. Overruled.
yeah, and one that may surprise you is that we take a good chunk of inspiration from Resident Evil, in which the puzzles and the way the characters interact with them heavily influence puzzles in Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo.
Okay. For a moment, I thought they were going to have like flesh-eating zombies in it or something, and thinking, oh dear.
Oh no, there
You had a
there's
Yeah,
lot
no
we
of
have
puzzle
flesh.
elements.
we both have undead characters, but I think I saw like a different. It's like I guess it falls into the same umbrella.
Yeah, they're never hungry.
So, when development is obviously, I believe that development has finished now for Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo. And with the game, I mean, has the game released now? Is the game out now on platforms? When does the game release?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the game releases. Not at this moment, it's not, but it's gonna be releasing in a couple of days on Friday, May 16th. So
Okay.
so almost there. Almost there.
Yes.
Almost there, not long to go. So what would be next for Gaia Games? What kind of game would the team, or yourselves, like to create, or are you already working on something?
In a sense, we are, but we also have our eyes open to feedback and see how the things work in order to make a final decision. But there are projects that are already planned. It's just a matter of putting them into execution.
Brilliant. Well, my final question to you guys, obviously we touched upon the release date of May 16th. So this Friday, not long to go. Can you list all the platforms that Kulebra and the Souls of Limbo is coming to?
Oh, sure thing.
Yeah, actually, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Yes, the game is coming out for Steam. It's coming for PC. It's releasing on Steam and GOG or G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
GOG. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I never said the acronym out loud. So, but yeah, it's coming also on Home Bundle and what's the last one?
Itch.io?
No, itch.io is only for packers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me see. There was a
Nintendo Switch.
Nintendo Switch. No, yeah, I was listing the PC, the PC
PC
platform.
versions, gotcha.
Yeah, but I'll go back to that. But yeah, for the Nintendo Switch and also for the Xbox, both on the console and
the Game
Windows
Pass.
Store.
Excellent. Well, guys, muchísimas gracias por vuestro tiempo y para hablar con nosotros. So thank you very much for your time and for talking with us on this podcast. It's very, very much appreciated. I wish you all the best with the launch of the game, and I will be covering the game on our website as well, Mike Tender 64. If people would like to reach out to you, learn more about the game, where can they find you? The floor is yours.
Oh, they can find us in Twitter, Blue Sky, and they can join our Discord. We're almost there all the time, so that should be easy. As for how to find us, they can look for us at Galla Games. If I'm not mistaken, that should be it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, pretty much in all platforms, even Instagram.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, and thank you everybody at home as well. And until next time, keep on gaming.